The quantum coliseum hung suspended in the void between three dying stars, a monument to the Galactic Consortium's idea of justice. Verk stood in the holding cell, his hands bound with graviton shackles that hummed against his wrists. Through the translucent walls, he could see the arena floor below, a shifting landscape of adaptive terrain that reconfigured itself between matches. Designation: Verk 7429, the synthetic voice echoed through the cell. Species classification: unknown. Crime: destruction of consortium property valued at 43 million credits. Sentence: trial by combat until debt is satisfied or termination occurs. Verk said nothing. Let them think he was just another primitive from an uncharted world. Let them believe the lies in their databases. The truth was far more dangerous. The cell door dissolved and a Crometh guard, all chitinous plates and compound eyes, gestured with its plasma rifle toward the descending platform. Verk walked forward, his movements deliberate, conserved. The other inmates watched him with a mixture of curiosity and pity. Most fighters lasted 3 matches in the Colosseum. The current record holder, a Vraxian berserker named Korn, had survived 27. The platform lowered into the arena, and the roar of 70,000 spectators from 100 different species hit him like a physical wave. The consortium had turned punishment into entertainment, broadcasting these fights across half the galaxy. Fortunes were won and lost on the blood spilled here. Across the arena, his opponent emerged from the opposite platform. A Thorian combat specialist, 9 feet of genetically engineered muscle and rage, bred specifically for warfare. Its 4 arms each carried a different weapon: plasma blade, neural disruptor, molecular whip, and a kinetic hammer that could pulverize duralloy. The arena's AI voice boomed. Combatants ready. Terrain: urban ruins. Environmental hazard: acid rain, interval 12 minutes, begin. The Thorian charged immediately, a tactical error born from overconfidence. Verk sidestepped, letting momentum carry his opponent past. The molecular whip lashed out, but Verk had already read the attack pattern, ducking beneath it and rolling behind a fragment of simulated building. What the consortium didn't know, what their incomplete databases had failed to reveal, was that humans were the galaxy's greatest survivors. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the most adaptable. Earth had tested humanity in ways these pampered alien species could never understand. Humans had conquered ice ages and deserts, disease and famine, had turned their own cradle into a forge that hammered them into something resilient. The acid rain began, hissing against the ruins. The Thorian's armored hide steamed but held. Verk felt the droplets on his exposed skin, the slight burn. He'd endured worse during his survival training in the Australian outback. Pain was just information. He needed to observe, to learn. The Thorian was powerful but predictable, following patterns drilled into its genetics. Verk moved through the ruins, drawing his opponent deeper, noting how it favored the kinetic hammer for devastating strikes, saved the neural disruptor for what it perceived as finishing moves. Humans were also the galaxy's greatest pattern recognizers. On the third charge, Verk was ready. He used a piece of rubble as a springboard, launching himself over the Thorian's swing. Midair, he grabbed the molecular whip arm, using his body weight to wrench it at an unnatural angle. The crack of chitin breaking echoed through the arena. The crowd's roar intensified. The Thorian bellowed in pain and rage, bringing the plasma blade around in a wide arc. Verk dropped, rolled, came up with a jagged piece of metal debris. Not much of a weapon, but humans had conquered their world with less. The fight lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, the Thorian lay motionless on the arena floor, 3 of its 4 arms broken, its own neural disruptor having short-circuited its nervous system. Verk stood over it, breathing hard but standing. The crowd went wild. Verk was escorted back to the holding cells, where the other prisoners now looked at him with something different in their eyes: respect, fear. Impressive for a primitive. Verk turned. A woman sat in the adjacent cell, her features obscured by the shimmer of a privacy field. But there was something about her voice, her posture, the way she held herself. "My name is Elsa," she continued. "I'm what passes for a doctor in this place. That was your first fight. You'll have another in 48 hours. "Thanks for the information," Verk replied, his voice neutral. "You're being careful," Elsa observed. "Smart, but I know what you are." Verk's muscles tensed infinitesimally. "I'm a xenobiologist," Elsa said. "Or I was before I ended up here. I've studied the restricted files, the classified reports. I know about Earth, about humans." She deactivated the privacy field. Her features were indeed human. Sharp cheekbones, intense green eyes, hair pulled back in a practical braid. But there was something harder about her, weathered by her time here. "How long have you been here?" Verk asked. 2 standard years, 41 fights. She smiled grimly. "I'm what you'd call the silent record holder. The consortium doesn't like to advertise that a primitive human has outlasted their champion breeds." "Why haven't you revealed yourself?" "The same reason you haven't. Because the moment they know what we are, what we're capable of, we become more valuable. Not as entertainment, but as breeding stock, as genetic templates, as weapons." Verk understood. The galaxy saw humans as an uncontacted species from a death world, primitive and unremarkable. If the consortium learned the truth, that humanity had not only survived Earth but had developed space travel independently, that they were expanding quietly through the outer systems, everything would change. "What's your crime?" Verk asked. "I discovered something I shouldn't have. A consortium research facility conducting illegal experiments on sentient species. I tried to expose it," she shrugged. "And you?" "I destroyed their mining operation on Kepler 442b. They were strip mining a planet that had developing intelligent life. I gave the locals the tools to fight back." Elsa studied him with new interest. "A soldier." "Special Forces, Earth Coalition. We've been conducting quiet operations, preparing for the day when we can't hide anymore." "That day might come sooner than you think," Elsa said. "The consortium's been losing fights to unknown primitives across multiple arenas. Eventually, someone's going to connect the dots." Over the next 6 weeks, Verk fought 12 more matches. He faced Chromath acid spitters, Vraxian berserkers, Zentari psychic warriors, and combat drones built by the galaxy's finest engineers. He learned their patterns, exploited their weaknesses, adapted and survived. Each victory made him more valuable, drew more attention. Between fights, he and Elsa strategized. She shared her knowledge of alien physiology and consortium politics. He taught her updated combat techniques from Earth. They were careful, communicating in old Earth languages the translation matrices couldn't properly parse, ancient Mandarin mixed with Swahili, encoded with military hand signals. "There's a pattern to the arena matches," Elsa explained one night. "Every 50 fights, they offer a champion the choice, freedom or join the consortium military. It's how they recruit some of their best soldiers." "You've had 41 fights," Verk calculated. 9 more and they'll make you the offer." "Yes, and when they do, I'm going to accept." Verk raised an eyebrow. "Not to join them," Elsa clarified, "but to get access to their communication systems, to send a message home. Earth needs to know what's happening out here, what the consortium really is." "That's a suicide mission." "Maybe, but someone has to do it." She met his eyes. "Will you cover for me?" Verk nodded slowly. "I will, but we do this smart. We need insurance." Over the following weeks, they prepared. Verk deliberately lost fights, not obviously, but enough to extend Elsa's time in the arena, to give her the victories she needed. He took injuries, played up his weaknesses, made the consortium think he was burning out. Elsa reached her 50th fight against a Dravian warlord, a creature of pure violence with a carapace that could deflect plasma fire. The match lasted 23 minutes. When it ended, Elsa stood victorious, and the arena erupted. The offer came that night. 3 days later, as Elsa was being processed for military integration, she activated the communications virus Verk had helped her design, a gift from Earth's top cyber warfare specialists, hidden in his genetic code as synthetic DNA that could be transcribed into machine code. The message went out on every consortium channel simultaneously: coordinates for Earth, proof of humanity's capabilities, and a simple declaration. We are human. We do not seek war, but we will not be enslaved. We offer partnership between equals or nothing at all. The consortium's response was immediate chaos. The arena went into lockdown, but by then, Verk had already escaped, using the confusion to override his cell's graviton shackles with a technique that exploited their quantum entanglement, another gift from human ingenuity. He never saw Elsa again. Intelligence reports suggested she'd made it off station before the lockdown completed, disappearing into the outer systems. 6 months later, the consortium formally contacted Earth's coalition. The negotiations were tense, but humanity had proven they couldn't be easily categorized or dismissed. They were survivors, adapters, the inheritors of a death world that had made them stronger. Verk returned to Earth a hero, though the details of his mission remained classified. Sometimes, late at night, he wondered about Elsa, hoped she'd found her way home too. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans weren't the strongest species, or the fastest, or the most technologically advanced. But they were the hardest to kill. And in the end, survival was the only victory that mattered.